Stephen A. Smith, First Take, Big Perk, all together, came on today and gave huge compliments towards Caitlin Clark, huge praise. And not only there, they were on Twitter as well, giving love to Caitlin Clark, and people seem to not like it, man.
Stephen A. Smith just went absolutely ballistic on live TV. And for once, it wasn't about someone trashing the Cowboys or omitting LeBron from their top 5. No, this time his fire was aimed straight at the WNBA MVP race and smack. In the middle of the storm was none other than Caitlin Clark. Smith unleashed a booming on-air tirade so intense you'd think the First Take set was about to explode, complete with soaring volume, flailing fingers, and enough perspiration to fog up every ESPN camera lens.
Stephen A., she is just different. She's special. Just a different type of electricity, man. Did you hear the roar of the crowd while that shot was in flight? Like, I'm expecting big things from her, especially MVP.
When Stephen A. starts pacing like a storm is brewing and hurls his points like lightning bolts, you know it's more than a debate, it's a production. And when he turned that energy toward Caitlin Clark, it turned into a sports commentary spectacle with Broadway-level drama. He didn't just approve of her MVP chances, he flat out insisted on it. If you weren't a believer before, Smith probably guilt-tripped you into changing sides. Think Clark deserves MVP this season? Type Caitlin for MVP in the comments right now.
Let's remember this. Last year, in her rookie campaign, it was immediately after she had gone to the national championship game in the NCAA tournament, and then less than 2 months later, she's got a WNBA season where she started and played all 40 games, finished as a unanimous Rookie of the Year, all WNBA first team, finished 4th in league MVP vote.
Let's be honest, subtlety has never been Stephen A. Smith's style. The man doesn't speak softly, he erupts. His basketball takes aren't discussions, they're seismic events. And this time, the tremors weren't coming from Madison Square Garden or Crypto.com arena, they were rocking Indiana. That's because Caitlin Clark has been performing so much magic on the court that even the loudest voice in sports had to amplify his volume one more notch.
It's Caitlin Clark. She put on a show in her old stomping grounds in Iowa versus Brazil.
The WNBA's most electric second-year phenom, the Empress of Logo Range. Threes and a living crossover nightmare has officially reached obsession status for Stephen A. Smith. From the moment she started pulling up from way beyond the arc like it was second nature, you knew it was just a matter of time before Smith's takes hit emergency levels. Spoiler alert, that moment has landed.
I think she's ready. She know it's her second year. She know what type of physicality it's going to take. Look like she's always in great shape, never afraid of the moment. Again, we're talking about Caitlin Clark here. The spotlight been on her for years. She's not going to shy away from it. I expect her to be in the MVP conversation.
Fueled by what can only be described as espresso and adrenaline, Stephen A. Smith erupted with a media meltdown that shattered the usual talking head decibel limit. He blurted out what so many have whispered: Caitlin Clark may already be the real MVP. Not someday. Not next season. Now. She's that rare kind of player who makes veterans second-guess their choices and causes rival GMs to lose sleep over not drafting her.
Then I'm looking at the regular season, leading all rookies in scoring, field goals made, three-point field goals made, assists, steals, and minutes. She's the real deal. Make no mistake about it.
And no, this wasn't some throwaway bit squeezed into the back end of a rundown. It was a Stephen A. Smith production in full force. You could almost hear ESPN's control room begging for a break as he launched into a blazing hot take performance somewhere between basketball sermon and loud love letter. His message was unmistakable. Caitlin Clark hasn't just arrived, she's rewriting the playbook, dropping dimes, raining logo bombs, and clowning defensive schemes on national TV.
What does she mean to women's sports?
I just think that she's elevating the profile of women's sports in a way that most women should deeply, deeply, deeply appreciate. She's a phenomenal player. She's a phenomenal shooter. I call her the Steph Curry of women's basketball. I've been calling her that since last year.
Let's not pretend Stephen A. just discovered Caitlin Clark overnight. He's been in her corner since her days at Iowa, hyping her up like a mashup of Steph Curry's range, Diana Taurasi's fire, and Sue Bird's court vision, only with viral highlight appeal. But this time, he wasn't hinting, he was yelling. He didn't suggest MVP, he demanded it. As in, why are we acting like there's even a debate? As in, what more does she have to do before we hand her the hardware? As in, turn in your analyst badge if Caitlyn's not your top MVP pick.
Want to promote the sport. You put that girl up in there, and people were appalled at that notion.
Smith didn't just join the MVP discussion, he hijacked the narrative. His outburst didn't feel like a hot take. It felt like a national sports bulletin. If MVP voters were watching, they got the message loud and clear. Stephen A. just went megaphone mode with what Fever fans have been yelling all season. And, honestly, does MVP even cover it? Let's take a step back and marvel at Caitlin Clark's rookie campaign. This isn't just a promising start, it's a basketball fantasy. She's putting up ridiculous numbers, breezing through triple teams like they're traffic cones, and tossing passes so precise she could thread a needle from the logo.
What's crazy is you had Monica McNutt, Andrea, Shanae, all on the panel right before the game, and they had a graphic, an interesting graphic that popped up showing that Caitlin Clark had the best odds to win the MVP this year. And man, I wish I could hear what they were saying.
Stat geeks are short-circuiting trying to wrap their heads around her metrics, sky-high true shooting, bonkers assist ratios, and historic spikes in ticket sales. TV ratings, merch sales, and crowd energy. She's broken every mold. And yeah, defenders are dropping like flies both physically and emotionally after getting run through the Caitlin Clark blender. She's not just another prospect, she's a walking video game glitch. While most second-year players are still trying not to look lost on defense, Caitlin's out here draining clutch shots, signing gear mid-possession, and directing the offense, like she's got a headset on.
Start with our 2025 WNBA MVP, and that has to go to the one and only Caitlin Clark. You can say I'm glazing, you can say I'm hyping her up too much, but I truly think that this second year for Caitlin Clark is going to be like nothing we have ever seen.
So when Stephen A. snapped, the timing couldn't have been better. And the magic wasn't just in what he said, it was how he said it. He channeled the intensity of a revival preacher, the drama of a man on a mission, and the certainty of someone who's seen legends come and go and knows greatness when it shows up. At one point, it felt like he might levitate or anoint the entire production team with holy water. It was wild. It was brilliant. It was Stephen A. in pure, unfiltered form.
We got a girl here who's box office in Caitlin Clark. She is box office. We can lament it all we want to, but the fact of the matter is, Caitlin Clark is box office. And we got to get that out the way. And I'll get into all of that a little bit more in just a second, because it's very, very important that we point this out. She fills seats. She brings the cameras. She brings national publicity. It's what
Meanwhile, you can bet the old-school WNBA faithful, the keepers of tradition who think the league's face must come from the veteran pool, were squirming. Nothing unsettles purists like a superstar being crowned MVP by the loudest sports voice alive. Caitlin Clark isn't asking for a turn, she's taking hers. And Stephen A. just gave her the loudest endorsement possible. Still clinging to someone else for MVP? Time to wake up Vegas odds makers, ESPN producers, and 15,000 fans in Iowa already know. And you knew this was coming. Stephen A. can't go 5 minutes without throwing Hall of Famers into his takes like seasoning in a signature dish. Magic, Bird, Jordan, the holy ESPN trinity. And there he went again, speed running through icons like a cheat code, each name served with the flair of announcing royalty.
talking about her. And who's to say they ain't gonna lose again and not win a championship? We're still talking about her. Remember, when Bird and Magic, as phenomenal as they were, the champions that they were, there came a point where despite the greatness of them as individuals and the greatness of their teams collectively with the Hall of Famers they were playing with, we were still talking about Jordan. Before he won the title, Tim, am I lying? Wendy, am I lying? We were talking about him. When's his time? When's his time? Because we were clamoring for it. And I'm telling you, that's what people when it comes to women's basketball are going to be doing with Caitlin Clark.
But here's the kicker. Stephen A. didn't even have to say this part. Caitlin Clark doesn't need to be the next anyone. Not Magic, not Bird, not some copy-paste comparison from the past. She's not checking off legacy boxes, she's rewriting the whole blueprint. Clark isn't squeezing into a mold, she's smashing it with a step-back three and walking away like she never broke a sweat. She's not the next version of someone else. She's the first, last, and only Caitlin Clark, and that's more than enough.
This girl is a superstar. I've been saying it for years. I keep telling everybody she's the Steph Curry of women's basketball, college or pro. She is a superstar.
While Stephen A. was body-slamming cliches and firing off metaphors like he was in a slam dunk contest for sports analogies, something real was pulsing beneath the noise. Clark isn't just a shooter, she's a surgeon. She sees the floor like a Jedi, turns fast breaks into highlight reels, and doesn't need a shot clock to take over a game. Yes, she scores, but she also bends defenses like gravity, and her games feel like black holes of attention. And of course, Stephen A. couldn't resist the wild analogies. 1 second she's Steph with better aim, the next she's directing horror scenes on the court. But honestly, it's not that far-fetched. Watching Caitlin on a fast break is like watching Neo slow time. Blink, and she's at the rim. Blink again, and the clip's already trending with a fire emoji and a six-figure like count.
And to speak to her, to be around her, she's got charisma, she's got style, she's got bravado, she's got class, she's smart as hell. Communicates her thoughts very, very well. She is so incredibly marketable.
Sure, the MVP talk needs more than flashy plays, we get it. Leadership, efficiency, team wins the full checklist of basketball virtues. But here's the thing. Caitlin's already checked them off, then triple-checked, then scribbled a note in the margins that says, "Also, I changed the entire league's vibe while I was at it." Indiana Fever, once the WNBA's version of a lottery-bound team, now look like contenders. Teams are game planning for a rookie. Broadcast schedules pivot around her. TV crews can't look away. Arenas? Once half empty, now fire marshals are sweating every time she shows up.
Coming into the WNBA, you could just feel, I don't want to use the word resentment at all because it's not fair to women basketball players out there who may have critiqued her. But what I'm saying is that when you're talking about her greatness, it is perfectly okay for those who have been great to say, okay, let's see what you...
More like ticket frenzy. Not since Lisa Leslie turned dunking into front-page news have we seen this level of hype. Only this time, it's faster, louder, and live-streamed. Fans are skipping bills just to sit courtside. Security. Reinforcements needed. And Clark? She's casually launching 30-footers like she's in shoot-around. Cue the doubters, they're here too, clutching dusty resumes and muttering recycled takes about her being too fresh or not seasoned. They hide behind gatekeeping. Phrases like earning it, forgetting Clark's already the biggest name in women's sports and maybe in all of sports.
Love this one. I really do. I love this young lady. I had the pleasure of doing an event with her, during Iowa's homecoming because my man Mark Shapiro for WME took me down there and we were panelists. 10,000 people showed up. It was absolutely phenomenal. This girl is the best in the world.
Here's the truth. MVP isn't about age. It's about dominance. And Caitlin Clark isn't just affecting games, she's changing the forecast. She's the looming storm every coach fears, the matchup nightmare nobody wants. This season, MVP doesn't stand for most valuable player. It stands for most vicious. Problem. Clark is exactly that. Every opponent opens with her name circled 3 times on the whiteboard. Game plans are torn up midweek. Defensive sets are redesigned overnight. Doesn't matter. She still drops 28 and makes it look like a casual jog in the park.
Caitlin Clark is coming. Some people think she's already arrived. I don't. I think she's going to be even better. And I think that what she has done for women's basketball, especially in this country, has been phenomenal. There is no woman
no matter how great you were as a...
Stephen A. didn't just rant, he detonated. You'd think Clark keyed his car the way he blew up, but beneath all that fire was genuine respect, raw, unscripted, and rare. That level of admiration? Stephen A. only hands it out to the Jordans and Bradys of the world. Let's talk about what's really shifted the Caitlin Clark effect is more than stats. It's an energy shockwave. Every city she enters feels like it's hosting a championship. Warm-ups now feature media teams, not just trainers. Some defenders literally switch matchups to avoid becoming her next viral victim. ESPN? Might as well rename a channel because it's looking a lot like Caitlin Clark TV these days.
Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercials. They were begging for chartered flights. She arrives there, and 2 weeks later, they got chartered flights. She automatically and instantaneously improved the conditions. Attendance is still lagging. WNBA is still losing money compared to what you would hope it would earn, but clearly things are on an upward.
Back at the studio, Stephen A. is practically speaking in tongues, his voice ping-ponging between Sunday sermon and smoke alarm. His co-hosts are ducking, the audio engineers hammering the mute button like it's an arcade game, and still he keeps going. Because behind all the noise is one simple, unshakable truth. Caitlin Clark is the real deal. This isn't buzz. It's not a passing fad, it's a seismic shift. Twitter can't keep up, the stats are flying, and WNBA players are quickly realizing Clark didn't show up to blend in. She came to take the wheel.
It's improving, and she has everything to do with it. Attendance for Indiana Fever games, are you kidding me? WNBA draft, games on ABC, ESPN, television ratings. She's directly responsible.
She puts up points like it's instinct. She sets up teammates like she's hosting a masterclass. She's not chasing headlines, she earns them and grins as people try to catch up. Clark's dropping effortless double-doubles while defenders are left questioning life choices. And yes, the MVP race is packed. Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, all bona fide stars. But what Caitlin is doing isn't just elite. It's the kind of once-in-a-generation rookie season that forces everyone to rethink what's even possible.
I think Clark being in the MVP conversation is kind of the baseline at this point. You know, she's already been that good as a rookie, and I imagine she's going to take another step forward. I mean, we talked about how that Olympic break was so good for her to get some rest and come in with her legs underneath her. Now she has an actual off season, that she got to take off where, she didn't play in Unrivaled, she didn't play overseas. So this is a lot of time for Caitlin to just get her body right and come in the best shape possible for this upcoming season. And I think that's going to pay huge dividends for her. Like there's no ramping up period this time around for Caitlin Clark. She's going to come in on game one and be already one of the top 5 players in WNBA. So, I mean, I think MVP has to be the ceiling for her, right? She's already in that conversation. So for her to, get even higher in the vote total, potentially winning that award either this year or next is what I would expect.
Sure, Stephen A. sounded like he was trying to summon basketball deities with every word, but strip away the theatrics and the message hits hard. Caitlin Clark isn't hype. She's the real thing. She's proof. She's power. She's production. If you're still convinced the MVP belongs to someone else, maybe you haven't been watching. Because as she continues to casually defy gravity while flashing that calm, effortless smile, just remember what Stephen A. said. This isn't typical. This isn't business as usual. This is rare, and it deserves the spotlight.
Own the moment. We're not here to chase greatness. We're here to claim it. Our ambitions don't fit into headlines or highlight reels. So if you thought we arrived,
2 more for Boston.
Now you know. We're not here for the moment. We're here for the takeover.
MVP truly stands for impact, excellence, leadership, and transformation. Then Caitlin Clark already owns it. Every time she sinks another deep 3 like she's brushing lint off her shoulder, her case grows stronger. Keep holding tight to those she needs more time arguments if you must, but don't be shocked when she drops 40, wrecks your team's playoff dreams, and signs autographs on the way out. Because if Stephen A. Smith, the loudest, proudest voice in sports, is ready to say she might be MVP, The rest of us better get on board. If you believe Clark should win MVP this year, drop Caitlin for MVP in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, then click the video on your screen, and we'll see you next time.